Hello, everyone. I am Morgan Potter, and today I will be sharing with you my signature assignment regarding my hot button behavior plan. Let's get started with the ethics code I will be using in the classroom environment I have in the future. While this list is a little shorter than most and may involve more terms regarding or chosen by the child or like maybe a little more child friendly. I really want to foster collaboration with the kids, but this is just a couple of ideas and really the true core values I wish to implement in my classroom environment. So let's get started. The code number one that I really wanted to focus on is that child's ideas will be listened to, although they may not always get what they're wanting, or they may not get to not do something or go somewhere. I hope that they always feel like they can communicate their desires or their needs and feel heard. Additionally, I wanted to focus on collaboration, including the child and their family, because as mentioned in one of the earlier modules within this course, and also on the top left corner of your screen, Azik Erkan highlighted that young children benefit when teachers and families establish healthy partnerships and define common goals and developmental outcomes for children. When we are working with different families, there's always going to be things that are different. Maybe we're going home to different types of homes or incomes, or we come from different cultures. But something that we can have in common is what we are working towards and how we can help the child continue to grow. So I believe this is a very important part of my responsibilities as an early childhood professional. Additionally, I want all individuals to be to treat each other with respect and compassion. This is something I intend on modeling towards the children and also will expect them to exhibit with each other and with me. Number 4 is that expectations will be clearly communicated and consistently enforced. This is kind of on me to do, but it does foster a safe environment because, as mentioned in earlier modules, if we are being consistent and predictable, the child will feel safe in the environment and understand that the behaviors they choose will bring a specific outcome and it will be consistent. So every time they are shouting out, my response will be similar. Every time they are following directions, I will have a consistent response. Additionally, the child has the right to vocally disagree or refuse to comply in a respectful manner. So this is a skill that I will make a priority of. They don't have to do something just because I'm an adult, but we're still going to be respectful and refuse in an appropriate way. I think that assent is very important to teach children, that they have a choice in doing things, and if they say no, it means no, whether it's an adult, a peer, or anything. I think that consent is a skill we can teach very early on. All right, now on to hot button behaviors that I identified at the beginning of this course. Before I get into the specific behaviors that I chose, I wanted to mention a quote from our Troublemakers book by Shalaby. Knowing when and how to challenge authority is a skill worth teaching and learning. I believe that most of the behaviors I'm highlighting and the reason my children are engaging in them are usually because they're trying to challenge something I'm wanting them to do or asking them not to do. And I believe it's important to teach them appropriate ways to communicate those feelings. So, first, one of the behaviors that really gets under my skin is being slapped in the face. I feel disrespected. However, my reaction is usually to label the behavior, validate their feelings, and give alternative behaviors. This can look like, hey, it looks like you're feeling really frustrated because when I asked you to write your name on your paper, you slapped me in the face. So you can ask for space, or you can tell me you don't want to do that, or you can even stomp your feet if you're feeling mad. So these alternative behaviors I think are really important because obviously they're feeling a certain type of way. They just don't know how to communicate that. And I believe that's a skill worth teaching. Additionally, if they are ignoring me, this one is probably my biggest hot button behavior. My reaction, although internally may be different, externally I am providing the option to refuse or comply and explaining why ignoring is not kind. So, hey, you're not responding to me, so that's telling me maybe you don't want to do this. You can tell me you don't want to do it, or you can get started. It's not kind to ignore each other because in this classroom we treat each other with respect and maybe bring up our core values that we agreed on. Thirdly, a behavior that I highlighted in our assignment was eye rolling because this also makes me feel disrespected. And my reaction is usually to ignore the behavior, take some deep breaths, and maybe represent it or walk away, depending on why I think they're eye rolling. Generally, it's to get a reaction out of me, and so that's why I tend to ignore it. Okay, so the way that I'm reacting is definitely impacting my relationship with the child. I have been able to self reflect and identify that generally the way I react is positively impacting the relationship with the child, but let's get into the details. When I am being slapped in the face, it might be a little harder for me to show compassion, but I am usually able to do it a little bit and help the child feel validated, and this strengthens the child's trust in me. Also, when I am being ignored, usually I want to give up, but the way I react of giving choices to the child is giving them autonomy and helping their sense of self-worth because they feel like they have a little bit of control. Additionally, when they are eye rolling, it might make me feel a little angry, but the way I react helps the child use different strategies to refuse and ultimately is helping keep the relationship at bay by expecting respect and showing respect to the child. So those are ways it's affecting the child, but we also know that children go home, they tell their families about their days, maybe how their teachers acted in a situation. So how are my behaviors impacting the relationship with their families? When I am being slapped in the face, my reaction is generally making the child feel validated, and by teaching them appropriate behavior, it's also building trust from the family because it is likely they will start to see that at home. Same with ignoring. When the child has a voice at school, the family is encouraged and beginning to trust me because they're seeing the values that I'm teaching, and generally they align with theirs because parents also don't like being ignored. So really teaching them how to verbalize that tends to be something the families appreciate. Lastly, when the child is eye rolling and I'm not reinforcing that behavior, I'm expecting respect within the relationship. Generally, families are very appreciative of this and will expect that I am also generalizing that to other areas of the classroom. I included this quote of silencing troublemakers can negatively impact our awareness of the impact our environment is having, because I think it's really important we listen to what the behaviors are trying to tell us and give the child a more appropriate way to communicate that. We don't want them to just shut up and sit in their chair while we do what we do. We want them to feel safe and hear that maybe the environment we're creating is not ideal for the children, and being able to adjust appropriately is really important to make sure everyone feels safe and valued. With that said, let's get started on my behavior plan that I composed. I wanted to highlight this quote from the National Scientific Council on Developing Child. It says, "Nurturing and stable relationships with caring adults are essential to healthy human development beginning from birth." I think that it is very important to create a stable environment And communicating clear expectations and providing frequent reminders is a great way to do that because, again, that those clear expectations are providing stability and a consistent schedule, same thing. It's helping them feel safe because there's a lot of predictability happening. If there are transitions or harder things happening, I'm giving warnings and presenting them. And I'm making moments to get on the child's level, find their interests, prioritizing rest for myself so I can have a little bit more patience with them. These are all ways that I can help them feel more secure in the environment, and in turn, hopefully, they won't want to engage in as many behaviors. If the behaviors do occur, I want to work on taking deep breaths, attempting to have the child engage in coping skills with me so we can both calm down, and then attempt to understand the emotion the child is feeling. In order to be an effective teacher, we must remember that regardless of the individual needs, a child is a child first, and they are a human being as well. So if I'm feeling frustrated, I can't even imagine how they feel without the ability to cope, and that's a skill worth teaching for me. After the behaviors occur, I think it's really important to have a friend or a colleague that is trusted. This is something I have in my work environment currently, and I'm very grateful for it. I think there are some people who the information is not safe with, but we can use our own judgment to know the safe people that we can just let it out. And then, after our feelings are out of the way, we can reflect on what might have caused the behavior or ways that we can prevent them from happening again. Most children feel safer and more secure when they can count on a consistent daily routine. And again, this is a huge priority to me because I think that this is very important in helping them feel safe. This course has really changed my perspective of the family's involvement. I think that before this course, I saw caregivers as an asset. I definitely saw their value, and I always viewed them as someone who took what I was teaching or what I was working on with the kids and took it a little further or helped them practice it. But this course helped me understand that they're really the first teachers, and I have a lot to learn from them of what they know about their child, what could help with their child, who their child is as a human being. Just really taking more time to listen to them before I jump to conclusions or make my own assumptions about the child. We have the responsibility to listen and apply information that caregivers share with us to further support and understand the children we work with. The child's behavior is communicating a message to us, and it's up to us to listen with compassion. I thought that went hand in hand with the quote on the bottom of the screen by Statman Wheel. To fully understand children's challenging behaviors, it is imperative that teachers communicate with children's families regularly and understand whether the behaviors seen in the classroom might be connected to traumatic experiences. We've read many articles throughout this course really highlighting the importance of creating a classroom that is supportive to children who have been through traumatic experiences. And I think in order to even know that we need to support any sort of trauma is getting to know the family and building that relationship so they can be open and honest with us about what their child needs. So this is my letter to myself, and hopefully it also benefits you from listening to it. I know I'm a little over in time, but I think this is very important to communicate. So this is me writing to myself or to you. I know that you want to be the best you can. I know you want to give these tiny humans the tools to survive in this wild world. I know you are also exhausted. Being an early childhood professional requires an understanding of children as human beings. This includes the life they are living outside of school and the emotions they are experiencing. Collaboration with all adults in the child's life is crucial in achieving a goal of successfully identifying the child's needs and desires. Building relationship with the families we are working with helps us foster compassion with the children who consistently listen and the ones who fight back. There will be individuals we do not naturally get along with, and it is up to us to fight for understanding and compromise. Let's work towards a world of love which, as Shalaby shares, requires an act of imagination, a leap of faith, and an